Welcome to the GCN Tech Clinic, where Alex and I aim to answer your bike tech maintenance related questions. As ever, you can submit your questions down in the comment section below using the hashtag askgcntech, and we'll do our best to answer as many of them as possible
within the allotted time. I was pausing for you, sorry. Right, first question, Jen Eric 253, why is there not full foot length pedals and cleats? My first off the cuff thought of this is because the sole of your shoe, cycling shoe, is incredibly stiff. Therefore it transfers and distributes the force very evenly anyway.
Yeah, that's the whole point. It's the pedal and the shoe are working mechanically together to spread that load.
If you had a shoe which had a very soft, flexible sole, a really wide pedal platform makes sense, but you're transferring the strength into the sole of your cycling shoe.
And that's
basically
why flat pedals are bigger.
Yeah. Next question. Easy.
Is from Arvin Damendran.
Yeah.
Who says, Pogacar has been using deep section Envy wheels and Vingegaard has been using the Velo aero frame with shallower wheels. Assuming both bikes weigh the same, which setup is likely to have better aerodynamics? All-rounder frame with deep wheels or aero frame with shallow wheels? Without testing those two bikes,
we don't
actually know, and no one would know without testing them individually. And also, it's very system dependent.
Yeah.
With everything involved, it gets quite complicated. So it depends. But
we can generalise.
What you would say is that on the whole, Vingegaard will be more aerodynamic than Pogacar, just based on his size. He's considerably smaller. But the other thing to factor in is that Vingegaard has a choice between two bikes. He can ride the aero bike and the lightweight bike, whereas Pogacar has the choice of just the V4 RS.
It's arguably not a choice if he's only got one.
Oh, yeah.
Right, can I share my thoughts on this? Because I don't have any data or testing to discuss, but if it was me and based on my experience of cycling, I would go aero bike with shallower wheels on the basis of, if you really wanted to, you could switch the wheels out. And I think the aero bike is going to have more of an impact on, say, like a 20mm shallower wheel. That's my thoughts. You got any on it?
Well, I know, if we go back 6 years, all the aero experts that I spoke to would have sided with the wheels.
Yeah.
Because they felt that made a bigger difference.
Yeah.
But since then, frame technology has improved.
Yeah.
So I think the jury would be out. Yeah.
I recently spoke to
If it were me, I would go for the aero frame.
Okay, I recently spoke to some aero engineers who've just developed a brand new bike, and they said they could have made the bike lighter, but they didn't want to. They focused on making it more aero, so it gave the team a choice of using shallower wheels because they didn't need to use the wheels for aero, and you can save more weight by using shallow wheels than making the frame slightly lighter.
Yeah.
So take of that what you like.
I recently took an aero bike to the Alps and got PBs on all the major climbs. No, but compared to last time using a non-aero bike. So
that's a good point. Okay, the King of Seals next. I'm a commuter and on the fence if I should be switching from lube to a wax chain. Ultimately, I just want something practical, low mess, easy to clean, but it rains quite often where I am, and so I'm not sure if I can actually use a wax chain in a practical way. The wax advantage for me seems to be lower drivetrain mess along with higher longevity, but I'm not sure how much rain it can handle before I need to do the re-wax. Any thoughts? Come on, Wax King.
Right, so I know that one of the things that Josh and the guys at Silka do is they just have this big, sort of commuter pot of wax that they just have on the go.
Yeah.
And then when people come into work, they take their chains off and bang it in.
Incredible.
And put it back on, and they're good to go. And they just do that a few times, maybe once a week or something.
What happens if this guy doesn't happen to work for Silka?
Well, if it were me, I would use a wet lube. If you're commuting somewhere where it's often wet and crappy. But it's that thing of not all wet lubes are equal. Some do accelerate your chain wear a lot more, and independent people have shown this. Zero friction cycling is always explaining this, and he's shown that there's more modern wet lubes like Silka Synergetic, and there's a couple of others on the market that are very good as well. You'll get a lot more life out of your components using those than just,
I would go with an oil-based, quality oil-based lubricant.
Really
as much as I love using a wax chain, I don't think it's the best.
In that application, that's what I'd do.
100%. Go on, next question is from Christian Can 4710.
Yeah, so I wanted to stand up for ourselves.
Yeah, okay, comment. Right, come on.
This comment says, I recommend not to follow the advice from GCN Tech. Again, this episode contains advice about tubeless tyres that could be life-threatening. I am not joking. Absolutely don't use tubeless tyres with inner tubes, as air from a punctured tube can get caught in the tyre and suddenly be released when cornering. This happened to me twice.
I'm sorry. I
100% disagree.
Yeah, I really strongly disagree.
And not that when we're saying you can use inner tubes in tubeless tyre setups, that's not just our opinion that we're saying that. Pirelli, manufacturer of tyres worldwide across multiple applications, including Formula One, openly advocates the use of inner tubes in tubeless tyre systems.
Yeah.
World Tour pro teams use inner tubes in tubeless tyre systems. It is a thing. It is something the system is designed to do.
Yeah.
If you've had an issue and what you're describing has happened, that's more likely to do because of something to do with the setup or
like
the installation.
The individual setup, not industry-wide
is not right.
Yeah.
But it is. Just wanted to clarify that is not life-threatening or bad advice to say you can use inner tubes with a tubeless tyre.
I literally cycled to GCN Mega Base yesterday with tubeless tyres with inner tubes in them. I survived. Here I am to tell the tale.
Yeah.
Right, next question is from James Lloyd, -what. Hi GCN Tech heads. Maybe this is a dumb question, but I picked up a new saddle, a SLA SMP F20 CSI, which has got carbon rails. They're 7x9mm, and their current seat post clamp is a 7x7 clamp, which uses a single bolt and clamps top to bottom. Do I need to buy a new clamp for the new saddle rails because they've found out it's only... Basically, do they need to switch the saddle rail clamp because they're going from round rails to oval carbon rails? In this instance, because the clamp is going from top to bottom, no, you can get away with using the same one.
Yeah, it's one of the advantages of top to bottom clamps that they accommodate both, which is useful. But one thing you should do when you change your saddle is also then check your saddle height. Yeah. Because especially, if you're going from a carbon rails, different saddles have different heights.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the time people swap their saddle over and then don't adjust their saddle height accordingly, and then they get an injury.
Yeah, so recently...
Or they feel pain or whatever.
So yeah, if you've got a saddle rail that clamps on the side, chances are you're going to have to change the end clamp mechanism. But recently, I've seen a couple of bikes which have had a slightly different design, which is able to handle both and clamp from the side. So that's actually quite good. Yeah. What have we got next?
AWOL555 says, I've always been a Shimano user. Last summer, I got a new Merido Reacto with SRAM ETAP 12-speed and have been loving it. I have a TT bike that is basically my turbo trainer bike with 11-speed 105 1132 cassette on, but sometimes I'd like to be more relaxed and use my road bike. Can I use my SRAM group set on the Shimano cassette on the turbo trainer? I appreciate the range of gears will be wrong. Will it damage my chain and rear derailleur?
Yes, you can use it, but it's obviously not going to work seamlessly because it's the wrong speeds for starters, but the pitch of the chain is 1/2 inch pitch and it will still run on the sprockets, just you won't be able to shift smoothly, but there'll be at least a couple of gears that it'll work in.
Yeah, and the other thing is that if you've got a smart trainer, you can sort of get away with it a bit because if you are in, like, say, erg mode, the resistance of the trainer will adjust and you don't need to change gear. Yeah.
It's also actually one of the mega advantages of the Zwift cog because you can put basically any bike on it.
Yeah, good point.
And you can just set it up to run that. Maybe that's something to consider. Right, that was it for this week's GCN Tech Clinic. That was the last question. As always, sorry if we didn't get to your questions, but be persistent. Put them in the comment section down below and we'll pick them out next week.
Yeah.
Right, love you, bye.
Bye.